Hello. Hello, everyone out there. Thank you all so much for joining us, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to the Old Globes Arts Engagement presentation of our playwriting workshop, Community Voices. Today is our second full workshop. If you missed the previous workshop, we posted it on the Community Voices event on our Facebook page, or you could just scroll back a little. It should be further down on our main page. If you missed it, you should be still fine to follow along and enjoy today's lesson as we dig a little deeper into preparing our viewers to develop their own 10-minute plays. My name is Katie Haroff. I'm an Arts Engagement Programs Manager with the Old Globe and the program creator of Community Voices. With me, I have my fabulous assistants, Mickey Vale and Gil Sotu. Hey, you two. My check-in question for both of you today is, what was a moment in your week that felt would possibly make a pretty good scene or play? Let's start with Gil this time. Gil, did you have any moments like that in your week?
Yeah, the moment I would think that I would use is when my son was playing alone. He's only 4 years old. He was playing alone in his room, and he was singing the song "I Don't Want to Go to Jail," and he kept repeating that over and over again. I don't want to go to jail because my family's going to be worried about me. And there's a lot of ways that that could have went, and how I handled it and everything. I think that that would be interesting. Uh, and we could talk about bigger problems just from that little moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, what a moment. Hey, Mickey, how about you? Did you have any moments that you thought would be good for the stage?
Yeah, I had a few. Some I probably wouldn't want to share because they involve other people, um, but there was one thing I noticed that a lot of roommates are having different types of dynamics in during this whole coronavirus thing. And I have a friend who's going through a situation with her roommate and feeling like her roommate's not taking it as seriously as she is. And so that kind of, and I've heard other situations too. So that kind of spawned uh, a thought that, so what if there's a character and she has a roommate, she's very upset. This is not me, by the way. I'm just, this is just an
All
idea.
right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
No, it really isn't. Actually, it's kind of heavy, but she has a roommate and she's getting upset because she sees her roommate going in and out, and she's getting more and more upset and feeling like she's being put at risk by her roommate. But what she doesn't know is, and she finds out somehow later, that her roommate is actually going, every time she leaves, she's going to a bridge and contemplating jumping because she's so distraught by the whole situation.
Whoa. So this was something that kind of started with like a real thing and you
Yeah,
went
yeah,
down the
but then it went left. But
wow.
yeah, and then just to show, and then somehow the roommate finds out that she was getting so upset and she was doing all this passive aggressive stuff, and then she finds out that, oh, my roommate is actually, the only time she leaves is because she's so upset and considering ending it all because she's handling this really in a, she's having a hard time handling this. And so it shows to have empathy towards people because you don't know what they're going through and you don't know how their reaction to something might be different from yours.
I love that, Mickey. I love that whole idea. Thank you for sharing. And I'm really going to encourage everyone watching right now, if they have something similar that happened that might be a good play, you could write it in the comments to us. I'd love to see things that have happened to you as well. It's a good way to start looking at your everyday lives. What are interactions or moments you recall that might be compelling enough to put on a stage? Once you expand your view of your life in this way, you will definitely surprise yourself with what comes up. You also start to, like Mickey did, expand past what actually happened in that moment and start to think about potentially fictionalizing the story for the stage. For instance, I was at the grocery store and I watched these two people for a moment. They were sitting in their car and they were laughing and eating together like that was their date night. that going to the grocery store and eating in the car was the whole plan. Even though I couldn't hear them, it made me think about what kind of scene they were having in there, how they were able to laugh in this moment, and it struck me as profound. I ended up jotting down the idea for later, and maybe I'll explore it, which is another great exercise. Take notes when the inspiration hits you. Have a little journal with you, and when you get a play idea or you encounter or see something that inspires you, write it down so you have it to remember for later when you're working on your play. Now, just as I did last time, thank you, Gil and Mickey, again for sharing your stuff today. But we're going to take a moment right now to do a quick body reset just to help bring us into this present moment for creativity. I know there's a big news broadcast going on right now, and I think some of you have chosen to be here despite that, and this is especially for you. So like I mentioned last week, we usually start our workshops with a theater game to help activate that creative side of our brains for this workshop. Since we can't play a game with you, I'm going to lead us through a couple of chair stretches to reset our bodies and hopefully our minds a little bit for this session today. First, let's just take one big, deep resetting breath. Long in, hold at the top, and long out. Let's keep the rhythm of this deep breath with us throughout these stretches. Long in, hold at the top, and long out. Now, let's move through 3 neck rolls to the right. Please move gently and honor your body if you feel any signs of distress. We're just going to drop down and roll to the right. 1, 2, I'm cracking. 3, and now to the left. 1, 2, 3. Now let's go ahead and roll our shoulders forward 3 times and remember to breathe. 1, 2, 3, and 3 times back. 1, and breathe. 2, and 3. Now go ahead and draw your shoulders slowly up to your ears. See how far up you can scrunch them, and then drop them down and back behind you so you have a nice posture. Let's do that one more time. Draw them up slowly to your ears and inhale, and let it go. Exhale. Now I just want you to go ahead and put your hands on your knees to use them as a leverage for a nice back stretch. Now be nice and slow and mindful in this, but go ahead and lean back, sort of push your chest forward. Take one deep breath and roll your body right back. Good. And let's just go ahead and contract down, draw your chin to your chest, tuck your head down into a comfortable slouched position, and feel this stretch on the back of your neck. And then go ahead and come and roll right back up again. And just roll your shoulders back and down. Let's just take one more deep breath together. And that's it. I hope that helped reset your mind and body, and you're a little more open to some creative exploration in this new relaxed state. Now, I'd like to bring back Gil Sotu, who is going to activate our creative mind a little more by leading us through a writing warm-up. Now, you might not have a ton of time to get through this specific warm-up, but we will go over it very carefully, and you're welcome to work on it after the workshop. So Gil, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, you guys ready to activate? All right. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to do a little bit of poetry. Right now, we're going to bring up 4 different prompts up on the screen, and you choose one of them that calls most to you, that makes you feel like writing. So the first one that's coming up is "One day when I was a lion." So this will be the first line of your poem. one day when I was a lion. And what does that mean to you? So for some people, students that I've had, it's one day when I was brave, or one day when I was fearless, or one day when I was a hunter, and I was going after something in my life. Or it could be one day when I felt hunted. It could be whatever it is that first comes to you. The second one is, I've known a lot of pebbles, but you are a rock. So what that is saying is you're going to be writing to someone that has just been solid for you, especially in this time. People have really stepped up in ways that are unexpected, and so you could even give this to someone after you're done writing it if you really like it. But I've known a lot of pebbles, but you are a rock. That would be the first line of your piece. The third one would be, dear body part, whatever body part you feel, I forgive you. So we all have that body part that has caused us trouble in our life for some way, shape, or form. For some, it could be like something that you could see, your nose, your hairline, your someone don't like their shoulders or whatever. So, or you can go internal. You can talk about your heart or your brain or your lungs, maybe if you're asthmatic. So you're just forgiving that part of your body that has given you trouble in your life. All right. The last one is, the moon spoke to me last night. So you imagine what would happen if the moon spoke to you. So for some people, it's going to be very personal. Hey, Billy, I see you down there every night and you're all alone. And I just want to say that I'm always watching you. Or it could be global. You can talk about maybe the moon is talking about all that's going on in the world, and they're seeing it all at once, So whatever it is that really speaks to you, that's what you're going to write on. So there's no wrong answers. You're going to be writing a few sentences. I say at least 4 or 5 lines at the least, and at the most, no more than like 3/4 of a page. Okay. So that is your assignment, and we have given the assignment to some of our fabulous actors at the Old Globe, and also teaching artists themselves. First, I want to bring up Miss Valeria Vega, coming all the way from Tijuana. How you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Excellent. Hi, everybody.
So what? She's still waving. What? You're used to that parade wave. Which prompt did you pick, Valeria?
I chose dear body part, I forgive you.
Okay, and which body part do you have to forgive?
Heart, of course.
Your heart. Yeah, a lot of people do. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Dear heart, I forgive you for all the times you messed up. Why, oh why did I ever listen? I still don't know, and probably never will. One time, you almost had it, but then you turn all mushy and clingy on me and ruin it for the both of us. Still, no hard feelings, my heart. You've grown up and matured very well, very handsome and very smart. A little bit cold at times, but we learned our lesson, didn't we?
I know there's a lot of virtual snaps and claps going on there. I like the line, you almost had it. Almost had it. Great. Okay, so next we want to bring up another fellow teaching artist and actor, Jake Milgaard. Hey, Jake.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. So which one did you choose?
I choose the moon spoke to me last night.
Okay, let me hear what the moon said to you.
The moon spoke to me last night. I'm lonely, she said. Will you tell me a story? Sure. And I told her about a little boy who dreamed of one day going to the moon. And he went as far as to build his own rocket ship. He found things at a junkyard and built a beautiful ship, the ship of his dreams. But when the day came to fly to the moon, he got scared and never tried. The moon asked him why. The man told him that the boy was afraid that it wouldn't work. Oh, said the moon. I wish he had tried. And the man was silent for a moment. Me too, said the man. And later that night, the man walked into his garage and pulled the tarp off of an old relic, a relic that had sat there for years. And he stared at it for a while and then jumped inside. The key was still in the ignition. It took him a moment to work up the courage, but he turned the key and
Cliffhanger. I love it. I love it. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, that Valeria was more of a poetic style, and Jake used more of a narrative style. They both work. So feel free to do whatever comes to you, and happy writing. I'm going to bring it back over to Katie.
Thank you so much, Gil. And thank you, Valeria and Jake, for joining us today. Those two will be back a little later to share a reading of a script. I just love that writing prompt. I've heard Gil do it a couple of times, and usually what comes out of it is some of the most beautiful, creative writing that I've heard. So I would love to encourage all of you to take some time and dig in deep to one of those prompts and just enjoy yourselves, because they're rich with opportunity. But now I'm going to ask all of you to open up the handout for today's workshop if you can. It was just posted. I know it was posted a little late, but it was just posted in the comments section, and it should be pinned to the top of our comments section so you can grab it and open it to reference it. This handout is going to be your homework for tonight, but we're going to talk about this throughout today's workshop to kind of help you start to think about how you might like to fill it out. We'll also be discussing, again, two very different plays in today's workshop where we can examine the intention behind the playwright's development of their short plays. So if you have the handout handy, great. If not, it's okay. You're still going to be able to follow us along. Even if you have trouble opening the handout, if there's any issues, we'll make sure to get it to you before next week. But let's kick that off right now by sharing another performance from the Powers New Voices Festival that we, just as we did on Tuesday, we shared Thelma's and Andrea's beautiful pieces, and we're going to share one more piece from that night right now. After we watch that performance, we will use this play idea brainstorming handout to explore the inner workings of the playwright's presentation, and then we'll show you how you can use this handout to support the brainstorming of your own new play. The play that we're going to share is called Transit Stop, and it's by the marvelous Jordan Jacobo, who was part of my Advanced Community Voices workshop last year. This presentation includes performances by Jake Milgaard, who's just, very famous with the Globe, and we love him very much. Thank you for doing double duty today, Jake. Christopher Bona and Samantha Ginn on stage directions. We'll see you after the show.
Jordan would like to thank Catherine Haroff for her guidance, the Old Globe for presenting his piece, and his family for being so supportive of his artistic ventures. Transit Stop by Jordan Jacobo. Exterior. Exterior bus stop midday. Julian sits at one end of a bus stop bench on a busy downtown block. He leans back comfortably, taking in his surroundings. Behind him are a set of pedestrians, consistently walking back and forth at different speeds, checking their watches or talking on their phones. One pedestrian, crazy guy, walks a bit slower than the rest, silently mumbling to himself. As Julian looks to his left, Carter suddenly appears and takes a seat.
Room for one more?
Hey, is everything okay?
Yeah, why wouldn't it be?
Well, it's just... What are you doing?
I'm grabbing lunch with you.
Oh, this is a nice surprise. Don't you usually just...
Yeah, but I forgot my lunch pail.
At home?
No, upstairs.
Oh, do you want me to go up and get it?
No, I'll just grab lunch with you.
All right, well, cool. You're gonna like my spot. Best pastrami in town.
I don't like pastrami.
Yeah, well, there's ordinary pastrami, and then there's City Deli's pastrami and this stuff.
Do you know any pizza spots?
Not in the same area. There's a decent spot just one stop past where we're going, but
All right,
it's a little
let's
bit...
go there.
I mean, we could, but we wouldn't be back in time to...
Well, the nice part about being supervisor that I can take as long a lunch as I want. Although I am going to need you to check all the circuits up on 9 as soon as we get back. I think breakers are tripping on us again.
Yeah, right. I'll check them out.
It's weird.
What's weird?
This has always been my stop, but I don't think I've been here at midday. This is totally different crowd.
Yeah, it's the lunchtime rush. Different set of commuters entirely.
Carter motions to crazy guy.
Except for our pal, crazy guy.
Yeah, he's always on this block. I think he probably...
That was supposed to be his beat.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think he probably...
Something catches Julian's eye. 1/3 of the pedestrians look up at the sky, slowly coming to a halt as they do.
You were saying you probably... Hold! What the hell is that?
The rest of the pedestrians look up and slowly come to a stop, quietly observing the object in shock. The only pedestrian still carrying on as usual is Crazy Guy, who continues walking slowly and silently mumbling to himself.
I don't know, I guess... You think it's a UFO?
No, you can't... What, like aliens?
I didn't say aliens.
You said UFO.
Well, I certainly can't identify it. Looks like neither can anyone else for that matter. I thought I was imagining it.
You're pretty goddamn out there to imagine colors like those. I mean, half of those probably aren't even in the spectrum.
Spectrum?
Yeah, the color spectrum.
What? White's on the color spectrum.
Where did you get white?
Everywhere. I don't really see any other colors.
Are you kidding me right now? The blob's got every known color, but plus there's some I've never even seen.
Well, maybe around the edges, maybe.
What? What are you talking about?
See, whenever the shapes change, they tend to shift color slightly. It's more of like an off-white at best.
Holy shit, are you for real?
I don't know. Cream, maybe?
Wait. Shapes?
Yeah, that's what really caught my eye.
Where do you see shapes?
Where do you not?
What? Do you mean the swirls?
No, I know what a swirl looks like. This is deliberate geometry. I've never seen anything like it before.
What?
Judging from everyone else's expression, looks like none of us have.
I mean, can you blame them? I mean, of course they're as freaked out as us. You know, except for the crazy guy.
Boy, nothing ever seems to faze that guy. Must be nice.
That's because he's a nut.
Maybe, but it's not every day you see a UFO.
So you do think it's a UFO?
I don't know what to think.
Well, we should call someone.
Like who?
Well, like, an authority.
The cops? Like the Air Force? So what, they could do what? Tell us it's swamp gas or a weather balloon?
Well, at least then we would have an answer.
Yeah, but a wrong answer. I can't imagine anyone knows about this more than we do.
Yeah, well, you should still probably report it.
I can almost guarantee that half the city is probably aware of this by now.
Then why hasn't anyone done anything yet?
What do you want them to do?
I don't know. Shoot it down.
Wow, man.
What?
This thing hasn't done anything to us.
Not yet. But you want to take that chance?
If it was to here to hurt us, why wouldn't it have done it already? Why announce itself beforehand?
I don't know. You know, maybe they're just waiting to see the whites of our eyes or some sort of weird war etiquette.
I can imagine a bullet would do anything to it.
Well, it depends on the bullet.
Come on, this thing has traveled millions of miles through space just to be taken out by a single bullet?
I am talking about a big bullet and lots of them.
That would certainly make for one hell of an introduction.
Yeah, but the message would be clear. We are not to be messed with.
Carter, do you know how much space debris is floating around in space?
So?
So, given the fact how fast this thing would have needed to travel to get to us from another universe, it would have to be practically impervious to almost anything, especially a bullet.
Jesus, do you think so?
Yeah, it would only make sense.
Then what can we do?
Plus, if we managed to scare these off, who's to say others wouldn't heed the warning?
Others?
Sure. It's like my mom and dad used to say about mice: when there's one, there's two. When there's two, there's more.
Okay, but I mean, that there must be something that we.
Not much we can do than just take it in, I guess. sense of all these weird shapes, probably.
Do you think that maybe it's trying to tell us?
Probably not. Not something we're likely to understand anyway.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. You know, just how could?
Both men suddenly jerk back slightly.
Where did it go?
Who knows?
Everyone behind the pair slowly stops looking up. As they begin composing themselves, some look around at each other while others go about their way. Crazy Guy continues mumbling to himself silently. Julian sits up and stretches his arms, a bemused expression on his face. He then relaxes one arm on the backrest between he and Carter. Carter continues staring up at the spot where the object was.
You know, it just occurred to me, we probably should have taken a picture of this thing, huh? That's okay, I mean, someone else must have. Hey, there's our bus, right on time. You're still hungry, right?
Yeah, I could eat.
Great, because you're gonna love this pastrami.
End of play.
What a treat to be able to watch that play again. Jordan, Jacobo, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're going to chat about it a little bit, utilizing the play idea brainstorming handout as the things that we use to talk about with this play. So we can kind of show you perhaps maybe how Jordan thought about this piece, leading into it a little bit more. But so open that handout if you can. And I'm going to go ahead and have this discussion with Mickey. Gil gets a little break in this moment. So Mickey, looking at that play idea brainstorming handout, who would you label in that performance as the main character, and what do you think matters to them? In two-person plays, it's not always 100% clear who the main character is, and it doesn't always matter, but who would you pick? I'm not sure if Mickey is answering because I can't.
I am.
Oh,
Sorry.
good. Couldn't hear you in here. What were you saying, sweet Mickey?
I would pick the boss because
Okay.
because we saw him go through a transformation throughout the play.
I think that's a pretty good guess. He did have the biggest transformation in the play, the most visible transformation of the play. At the beginning of it, what do you think matters to him?
He wants to have lunch. He wants to kind of flex his power and get what he wants.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think makes this moment? What activates this character to make it exciting? This is the third box on our play idea chart. What makes this moment important enough to put on a stage, do you think?
He's activated by seeing the UFO, by seeing, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the activation isn't something that happens within. Sometimes it's an extraordinary situation that a character encounters that can really push them through this moment. So what happens to him? How does he change?
He changes because now he's not the one in power. It doesn't matter that he's the boss anymore because Julian handles it a whole different way than he does, and they have very different perspectives. So Julian, they see it differently, they react differently, and they're affected differently. And Julian is very calm, and the boss is very not calm, and he's really shaken by it. So he's not the one in charge anymore.
Yeah. It's a complete switch of that power dynamic.
Yeah.
And so why do you think Jordan wanted to tell this story? And who do you think it's for?
Good good question.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I'm always so curious. I wish I could ask every playwright who it's for, but
well, I have a feeling Jordan's watching. So Jordan, if you want to let us know in the comments, you're welcome to. But this
Jordan,
is
who's it
but this
for?
is kind of
But-
speculation, right? We're working from the end product to fill out something that happened at the very beginning of the product, and it's very personal to Jordan. But if you had to guess,
I would say for people who need to be brought down a notch, or just to need to see other perspectives and not act like they're the only person that matters all the time.
for sure, absolutely, it'd be great to give that piece to every boss that was a little mean at some point to you. And I think it would probably also be a really great piece to show to people that feel like they're the underdog, that they're the Julian of the story, and that they actually have their own powers as well in being calm and relaxed and not impacted by these moments. So it feels like it's for a lot of people, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful to see it performed again. Thank you so much, Mickey, for discussing that with me. And hopefully you all at home can just start to see how this chart can help formulate all of the key important elements that just should be a part of your piece. But what if you're the type of writer that just wants to get real weird with it? What if you don't want to explore stories with structure of time and space? What if you want talking animals and new dimensions and a world that's upside down? That's cool. That's possible in theater. We can get weird with it and more abstract, and we can still formulate our thoughts through a brainstorming chart. Even if you lean more on the surreal side, your vision should still be clear, and you should be able to have a connection to the significance of the story you're exploring. To show you what I mean, we're going to read a 10-minute play for you all that's a little on the weirder side. It's by a playwright named Alex Braun, and it features 4 sisters, all named Gloria. Gloria 1, 2, 3, and 4. In order to read through this today, we're bringing back those 2 actors from earlier, Jake Milgaard and Valeria Vega. Hello to you both. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hi again.
Hi. Valeria is going to be reading Gloria 1. Jake will be Gloria 2. Mickey is Gloria 3. And I will be reading Gloria 4 from my handy-dandy laptop right here. And Gil is going to be supporting us on those very important stage directions. And then afterwards, we'll use that play brainstorming chart to talk about it. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let's read. Gil, take us away.
10,000 Cigarettes by Alex Braun. Characters: Gloria 1, Gloria 2, Gloria 3, and Gloria 4. Spotlight on Gloria 1.
49, 50, 51.
Spotlight comes up on Gloria 2.
52, 53, 54.
Spotlight comes up on Gloria 3.
55, 56, 57.
Spotlight comes up on Gloria 4.
58, 59, 60.
Ta-da!
They all light cigarettes, take a long drag. Sigh.
So this guy at the funeral.
Guy is too kind.
This jerk.
This jerk recounts that I can't go 1 minute.
Without lighting a cigarette.
1 minute.
Showed him.
So time to celebrate.
They all take another drag of their cigarettes. Exhale. Sigh.
That is one of the great things about
The magic white cylinder.
It's perfect for any occasion.
Talking with friends.
the chat cigarette,
Out with colleagues.
The social cigarette.
having a few drinks,
The boozy cigarette.
having a few more drinks,
The boozier cigarette.
Taking a quick break from work.
The sidewalk cigarette.
not smoko or fag break.
Sidewalk cigarette.
Much more style.
Which is what cigarettes are all about.
S.
T.
Y.
L.
E. Style.
Style.
Style. What a great meal. I'm stuffed.
The après dinner cigarette.
Cigarettes always taste better after an excellent dinner.
That is if it's possible for cigarettes to taste better than they already do.
Nothing happening.
The bored cigarette.
Impressing the new man.
The looking cool cigarette.
Breaking up with the new man.
The broken-hearted cigarette.
Out for a country drive.
The cruise cigarette.
Pack a holiday slims, thanks.
The cheap cigarette.
I love you. You're my best friend.
The shared cigarette.
I'm broke and it's my last one.
The definitely not shared cigarette.
Relaxing on the pergola.
The outdoor cigarette.
Isn't it interesting how many times smoking is linked with relaxing here?
My parents don't know I smoke.
The illicit cigarette.
On a yacht.
The wind and waves cigarette.
On a plane.
The dangerous cigarette.
In a petrol station.
The very dangerous cigarette.
Derived from the fact that it is a smaller version of its antecedent.
Who?
Sedent.
Ancestor.
Which was?
The cigar.
But whereas cigars are
Big.
Heavy.
Awkward.
the cigarette is,
Dainty.
Elegant.
Convenient.
and fits perfectly between my
Dainty.
Elegant.
Conveniently well shaped for holding a cigarette.
fingers.
I remember my first cigarette. That moment of
Realization.
Inhalation.
Excitation.
an awakening of
Spirit.
Awareness.
Lungs.
an epiphany. I used to hide around the corner and watch him.
Standing on the veranda.
Leaning in the doorway.
Hair slicked back.
Dark blue singlet.
And gripped in his...
Strong tanned fingers.
The constant flickering glow.
I pinched one of his.
Kent's.
From the crushed top pack.
On the kitchen table.
Lit it on the stove.
And after just one puff...
I knew.
Between coughs.
I have discovered a secret.
Friend.
Conspirator.
Lover.
God.
You can also just call them by their brand.
That is also acceptable.
As in...
Hand me a Lucky Strike.
Care for a Dunhill?
Got any camels?
Would you care to share a satine?
Which brings us to another of great attractions of cigarettes.
They're international.
Flavor.
Cigarettes from all over the world.
Many of which I have tried.
One time or another. English brands.
Dunhill.
Benson and Hedges.
Subtle.
Smooth.
Rich.
And classic.
Parliament.
Very classy.
Barclay.
Bond Street.
American brands.
Salem.
Winston.
L&M.
LA Lights.
West Coast.
Mustang filters.
East Coast.
Cool.
Kent.
The family blend.
Newport.
Winchester.
The Heavyweights.
Philip Morris.
Rothmans.
Asian brands.
Eve 120s.
DeJoram Filter.
Kim Slims.
I love Kim Slims.
Malt 7.
Asian cigarettes have the coolest names.
Not to mention Rollies.
Drum.
Champion Ruby.
Dr. Pat. European brands. Capri. Cartier. Merit. Monte Carlo. Pall Mall. Let me know if I forgot any here. More.
I can't think of any more.
More is in the brand.
Oops.
Multi-filter.
Dull name.
But not bad.
Surprisingly.
Vogue Slims, Virginia Slims, and one of my personal favorites, Yves Saint Laurent. Picture me in a small corner shop in Paris.
At the counter.
Dressed in white.
Hat.
Scarf.
Sunglasses.
Dior from head to toe.
To die for.
One packet of Yves Saint Laurent. Merci.
Which brings me to another of my favorite things. The cigarette fantasy.
I've got a cigarette fantasy. I smoke 10,000 cigarettes all at once.
Simultaneously?
No, one after the other. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of cigarettes, but actually, look at this.
Gloria 2 takes a packet of cigarettes and places them on the floor.
Now, that is 25 cigarettes.
A quarter of a century.
Not very big, is it? In fact, it's tiny. So you times that by 4, you've got
100.
Indicating size with hands.
still small. Times that by 10.
1,000.
Still not a lot. And then by 10 again.
10,000.
By 10.
100,000.
By 10.
1 million cigarettes.
In this fantasy, I am in the most luxurious palace.
Silver and gold.
Heavy oak furniture.
Polished marble floors.
High ceilings.
Tall windows.
Framed portraits.
History.
Majesty.
Class.
This house is not my house.
It is the fabled Shangri-La of cigarette lovers.
Across the globe.
The Palace of Cigarettes.
Le Palais des Cigarettes.
Cigarette heaven.
Once I enter Le Palais des Cigarettes, a butler.
Very regal.
English accent.
With a voice that sounds like vintage port meets.
Golden syrup.
Greets me.
Good evening, ma'am.
He bears an engraved silver tray
And on the tray is
One lone cigarette.
and a silver lighter.
silver.
Not gold.
Stylish.
Not ostentatious.
Now, at first, I'm a little less than pleased by this.
One cigarette? Is that it?
But I have no need to worry.
I light up my cigarette and he leads me up into an ornate staircase.
To a hall which opens up to hundreds and hundreds of rooms.
The hall seems to go on and on forever.
He leads me towards a door.
I knock on the solid, heavy timber.
And in a second, the door is opened.
And I'm confronted by,
A cowboy in leather boots and a red check shirt.
he takes me into the room, which is,
An old-style Wild West saloon.
and sits me down at a battered wooden table.
He pours me a shot of
Maker's Mark.
And he pulls out a dusty packet of,
Marlboros.
Tucked underneath his bootstrap.
he offers me one and lights it.
With a wax-tipped match.
We sit and drink and smoke and chat about his life and times, and then
before I know it.
I'm back in the hall.
Butler by my side.
This way, ma'am.
In another room, there's a
Tokyo restaurant.
Prague cafe.
Munich beer hall.
Beijing Square.
London club.
Every room.
Another destination.
Another time.
Another magical companion.
All linked by our universal passion.
The greatest invention of all time.
The glue that holds mankind
And womankind.
together.
Le Palais de Cigarette.
A living.
Breathing.
Interactive.
Smokers Museum.
Gloria 3 coughs. She coughs again.
Or should that be a mausoleum?
They had a brand of cigarettes called Death once, didn't they?
Yeah, it was cool.
It was in a black packet with like skull and crossbones.
Brilliant.
We loved it.
Pity the cigarettes inside were so crap.
They all nod in agreement.
Death cigarettes. It's pretty ironic, huh?
Gloria 2 laughs. The others turn to look at her. Gloria 2 stops laughing.
Non-smokers think the danger aspect of smoking is a real turn-off.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Smokers love the danger.
Cheating the Grim Reaper?
They put their pathetic warnings on cigarette boxes.
Spend all this money on tacky ads.
Offer us nicotine patches.
How to quit classes?
Breakthrough weekends.
Spiritual healing.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Wrong. Don't you understand if we wanted to stop smoking, we would?
I will give up.
Just not today.
It's like that poet once said, those something somethings.
Half in love with easeful death.
He was talking about smokers.
Because we recognize that in the end, life is.
Bleeding.
Transient.
Momentary.
And trying to hold on to it is like.
Trying to catch smoke.
In the palm of your hand.
Or maybe we just like smoking too much to give a damn.
Gloria 3 coughs again. They all turn to look at her.
Sorry.
I think they should start up a cigarette smokers hall of fame.
Entry only available for those who have smoked.
1 million cigarettes.
Gloria 4 coughs. They all turn to look at her.
Sorry.
Now, you might think that it is impossible, but I worked it out. If you started at say 14 years of age and you smoked it and a half a day, not that hard. I do that occasionally. You'd be ready for the hall of by the time you were. Now that would be. I wonder if anybody's. Maybe I could be the the very first to enter the.
Maybe you should reduce the number.
500,000.
100,000.
50,000.
Gloria 1 coughs.
10,000.
You sounded just like
Dad.
He lay in a hospital bed for 2 months, coughing just like that. Still didn't stop. He'd sit out on the veranda
Of the hospital.
in a wheelchair, smoke pouring out of the little plastic hole they dug into his throat. Doctors had given up trying to make him quit. What was the point? Right to the very end, died with the
Constant flickering glow of a Kent.
in his filthy yellow fingers, still wearing that stupid blue singlet. He was 47, wife and 4 daughters.
Who?
all.
Smoke.
Nice funeral.
Not really.
What you need to understand is the trick isn't stopping. It's not starting in the first place. I'll go for 2 minutes this time. 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
7, 8, 9.
10, 11, 12.
The lights fade as they continue to count. End of play.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Jake and Valeria, for lending your voices to that weird piece that we just read. It was a joy to hear both of you reading today. Thank you, Gil and Mickey. Gil and Mickey, we're going to jump in and talk about this play using the play brainstorming chart now to show how a more abstracted play like this can still utilize this tool. First, Gil, who would you say is the main character and what matters to them?
This is a trick question. It is Gloria, and what matters most to her is smoking.
Oh yes, oh yes, yeah. This is kind of an interesting piece where there are 4 characters, but they are a bit of a hive mind. You get the feeling that this could be very easily one monologue performed by one person. They are
Right.
sharing a brain. So yeah, they are all the main character, and maybe in the reality it's just one person, but Alex decided to split their voices up into 4 to make this play. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he says later on the dad has 4 daughters.
Yeah, he does. They're all
Yeah.
named Gloria.
Yeah.
It is the reality of this world that there are 4 separate people, but for whatever reason, in this world, they all have the same exact thoughts.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So, Mickey, what is it that what do you think these Gloria, the 4 Glorias, what do you think they want in this world? What are they doing?
They want to justify why they smoke.
Yeah, because what is it that I guess that's a question for Gil, but what they definitely want to justify the amount of smoking that they're doing. Who is forcing them to justify it?
Forcing them to justify it?
Yeah, who has triggered this
Oh.
this?
Someone who said they can't go a minute without smoking.
Yeah, it's hard to remember this. Like the majority of the important action and the elements of this piece are like at the very, very beginning and at the very, very end. But if you can listen through all of the cigarette chat, which like I apologize if you just tuned in and you were like, what is this? Is this an advertisement for smoking on the Arts Engagement page? That's not what it was. We were reading a play, and it's definitely not an advertisement for smoking. But yeah, they got challenged by this guy who said they couldn't go longer than 1 minute without smoking. And it sort of triggers this launch of needing to justify themselves. And I would say that's sort of the answer to the second and the third bubble, that they are activated really by this character. Gil, what happens? Do you think that this character changes? Now, this is directly from the Play Idea Brainstorming handout. Do you think Gloria changes in this world?
No, I don't think so. I think that she even said that somewhere in there, because this is like the 100th time I read this, but I catch something new every time.
I know.
So this time I caught that she said that I'm not going to quit, but she is challenging herself to at the end to go another minute without smoking, because she said the trick is not starting at all. You know, maybe that's a message to smokers out there. But yeah, her thing was maybe it's not the trick is not smoking at all. So I don't think she's gonna quit, but I think that feeling of maybe I should change, especially being right outside her father's funeral, is there, and it's needling at her, you know?
Yeah, good point. Good to bring that up. Like, whenever I ask this question to a class of students, it kind of really tells me who they are, their answer to this, because it's a personal thing. Some people think that the moment in the end is enough to signify that these women are going to change, that maybe something struck them in their own rambling that has led them to try to make this effort. But the reality is that they're having this justifying rant at their father's funeral. And how did their dad die, Gil?
He died smoking.
Yeah, he died smoking.
Yes.
And so it's kind of hard to believe that these women are going to change with the amount of romanticism and obsession that they have of smoking these cigarettes in this piece. So
definitely.
Mickey, why do you think Alex Sprawn wanted to tell this story, and who do you think he wants to see it?
It's a great anti-smoking PSA. Definitely to show how ridiculous they sound to keep justifying smoking when they're at their father's funeral who died of smoking. And I think many people could benefit from seeing it. It could be people who need to stop smoking, or that line at the end where she says the trick is to not start. So maybe for someone who's thinking about smoking, or for kids, and to just let them know, don't start. The trick is to not start, so you don't end up like Gloria's.
Totally agreed. I love that answer. Don't be Gloria.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you both for that discussion. And see, everybody at home, this brainstorming handout can apply to the works that air on the weirder side too. Theater is a fabulous place to explore metaphor or fantasy, and both of those things can be inspired by messages you feel empowered by. In fact, the most beautiful metaphorical work always springs from some of the most human stories. So at the end of our workshop, we're going to take some time to go over this handout from the ideas. So we've been discussing this from the ideas of other playwrights, but how can you use it for yourself? So let's go through that a bit from that specific perspective. Now's a good time. If you have any questions about this assignment, please feel free to take a moment and type them out in our comments section below, and we'll take some time after I go over the homework to answer some questions that have popped up. So I was given permission by a digital contributor who just asked that I don't share their name, to share the character description handout from last week that they sent to me earlier this week. And we're going to use it for the purpose of this exercise. So I'm just going to change their name to Leslie for the purpose of this. So their character description, and as you see on the play idea brainstorming chart, the very first bubble is a character description. So a lot of you have already written one, and maybe that's the play you want to explore. So that will go right into that first bubble. So in our first bubble, we're going to use not Leslie's character description, and Gil and Mickey and I are going to try to just kind of go through this play idea chart, just inspired by this character description. You'll find that just writing that out is going to give you a lot of the information you need in order to tell the rest of your play. So Leslie is a 20-something student who is studying to become a doctor, but secretly wants to become a dancer. She goes to her classes during the day, but at night she takes any dance class she can find and performs with a local company. Her parents have started to become suspicious, and her grades have started to slip. So this was a really great character description and perfect for this exercise. Thank you so much, Not Leslie, for letting us use this description to explore this play handout. Okay, Gil and Mickey, let's approach this from that character perspective. So let's start with you, Gil. What do you think? What could they be doing in this world? What might they want? And some of it was already kind of given to us.
Yeah,
so,
it was given. She wants to be a dancer. I think sometimes in life, we want to do something, but sometimes we want to do a few things, especially in this day and age. There's a lot of options open to us, but I think her heart and her passion is in dancing.
Yeah, that's what she wants. So if we're going to tell the story of Leslie, this dancer, in this play, we need to come up with a moment to activate this character, to make an exciting and relevant choice so that the elevation of it on the stage is worthwhile. So Mickey, what could activate this character in this play? And we're just making this up. This is us just brainstorming together, and this isn't our play, so we might be completely off the mark, and that's okay. But we're just showing you how we would think about this character. So Mickey, what would you think could maybe activate Leslie?
Well, she's dancing on the side, so maybe she sustains an injury. She breaks a leg.
Whoa! So something happens and she breaks a leg. That's really interesting. And what might happen is that we don't ever see her dancing career. We just know that that's something that she wants. But at the beginning of this play, she sustains an injury, which makes it so that she has to be taken away from dance.
Can I try one?
Only temporarily.
Do you have your own idea of what could activate this character, Gil?
No, this could be something different. Like, we're just tossing out ideas.
Yeah, what would your idea be?
What if the company that she's working for gives her the opportunity to dance overseas for an extended period of time, and now she has to make that decision between staying in school and going off on this adventure?
Those are really great. You're both great. Are you guys playwrights? Do y'all write plays?
A little bit.
So either of those worlds and those options are really exciting. I'm gonna kind of just move through the rest of this really a little quicker because the next two bubbles are really personal, and we can speculate and come up with our own ideas of what we might decide to do for Leslie. But this is not Leslie's story to tell. So not Leslie, it's up to you to decide what kind of message you want in the end of this piece. Do you want your character to change? Do you want your character to get what they want in the end? Or do you want to tell a story about them not getting what they want and what happens to them when they have to, deal with that outcome? That's up to you. It's up to you what kind of story you want to tell. And it's also an opportunity for you to give a feeling to an audience. So what kind of feeling do you want to share with that audience? Which leads me to this last bubble, which is why? Why do you want to tell this story? And who do you hope that sees it? Because that is really going to push you in your writing. If you're writing for somebody in mind, it's going to formulate your thoughts a little more specifically. If you are thinking of a person in the audience of the play that you're writing, that's really going to motivate the action of your characters. You want to tell this story to that person. So think about them as you fill out this chart. Who's this for? How are you communicating to them? Well, and that's it. So for your homework, you're going to explore your own play idea through this chart. You can, of course, use the personal character description you wrote for today to fill in this first bubble, go from there, or you can come up with an entirely new character to explore. And as always, if you'd like to share your work with me, please email me directly at kharoff@theoldglobe.org. Folks have been emailing me things all week. I have gotten back to just about everybody. I think I got a couple right before this workshop. I will respond to you soon. And as you see in this workshop, we may utilize your work in this class to explore this material. So if you send me that email, let me know if that's okay that we can utilize your work live. It'll be helpful for me. But now is the time I'm going to check in on the comment section to see who is talking at us and or asking us questions. Okay, so this first question is, how do you recommend we think about conceiving a metaphorical world? That is a really great question. You got to start with the reality of it. You've got to start with the truth. Whatever the truth is you want to explore, that's where you begin. And you look at that truth and you see if there's any clear opportunity to instead work with metaphor. So if you were able to join us for that preview class on that was last week on Thursday, we shared this fabulous script by Jessica Hilt called Sold. And Sold is a play. If you didn't catch it, that's okay. It's a play about a gentleman who is selling his memories on the internet so he can make some money to buy a boat. This piece is a metaphor. It was a metaphor inspired by a daughter and her father. I won't go into great detail, but it was, even though the piece itself was very fantastical and based in a non-realistic world, it was inspired by a real situation that these two were, this father and daughter were encountering with each other. And the playwright decided to dig into this situation from a metaphorical standpoint so she could tell this story, but it allowed her to keep some distance from herself and it. So I would suggest to you, if you're having some trouble starting or exploring a metaphor, share with me what you are thinking of exploring from the real side of it. Always start with your truth, the truth of it, see what kind of metaphors may come from that, and then you kind of set the rules for your own play. And as you explore it through this workshop, we can talk. We can email and chat about what's working and what isn't, and how messages are landing. Because the other side of this world of theater is that you have to share with an audience, because something might be working really perfectly in your head, but the audience might be thinking something completely different. So theater is not an act that happens alone in your room. You got to share. I got one more question, and that's gonna wrap me up for now. What do you do when you just feel uninspired, like you're a complete dead end and can't develop any ideas, or even come up with any ideas at all? Oh, bless you. I understand that feeling, and this moment in our lives is a moment that feels like creative expression is going to be an incredibly difficult ongoing thing. I've hit many blocks at this time because of my head. But the very first thing I want to say is it's okay to not feel inspired. It's okay to feel like ideas aren't coming. And sometimes when you're looking for them really hard, that's when they tend to be the blankest of blank. The biggest thing I can recommend for folks that have hit a writer's block is to inundate yourself with art. There's a lot of live streaming plays out there. Go watch them. Read plays, read books, watch film and media that is exciting to you, and start to pay attention a little bit closer to the people that are around you. Think about your life. Think about your own history and the moments that have made you a human. And I think that if you take the time to dig into all of those pockets, you'll start to drum up your inspiration again. And follow along with us in this workshop, and hopefully we'll be able to inspire you and to continue to support you. And maybe taking this play idea brainstorming handout and really going through it with you as the main character is a really good place to start. Okay, friends, this was a fabulous workshop with all of you. I'm so grateful that you've joined me again today. Feel free to share this video with anybody you think might need it. Please share with me all of your writing. I can't wait to read it. And have a wonderful rest of your week, and happy writing, everybody. I'll see you next Tuesday. I'll see you on Tuesday.